Hello everyone, this is Sanjeev from interviewbox.tech. Thanks for watching this video. Today I'm going to talk about object-oriented programming in Python. So object-oriented programming allows user to create their own objects, and these objects have like methods and attributes. And this is very similar concept like you have seen the Python has like built-in objects, for example list and dictionary or set, and these built-in objects have their own functionality, or you can call them like a method. For example, list has a method of like append and pop, and set has a method of like add and remove. So object-oriented programming allows user to create their own object and add the like attributes and method in the object. And also object-oriented programming allows user to create code that is like repeatable and like structured. So you create like your class, and you create an object of that, and wherever you want to use that block of code that you define within class, you can just call the object and use the whatever the functionality or the methods you provided within your class. So you can directly call them instead of like rewriting the methods block of code again and again. So let's see what's the syntax. So syntax for object-oriented programming, as I mentioned, like you have to create a class. So you create a class with the class keyword that basically tell Python that this is a class, and then you write the class name. And here, as you can see, that I'm using the camel casing for the class name. And we have seen previously that I used like snake casing for the variable name. And then you write your init method. So init method is basically like it's a so whenever you create an instance of your class, or you can say object of your class, so this init method is getting called. This is called like initializing your class. And this is like the similar like you have seen maybe in other programming language like a constructor. So whenever you create object of your class, your constructor get called. So that's the same thing here. And the self keyword is a default. The self keyword is basically attaching whatever the keyword or the value you are passing to the object of your class. So here you are passing like the param1, param2, that is like parameter, and then you are assigning into the self.param1 is basically the variable that is holding the value. And wherever you want to use the param1 in your program, you will call by using the self.param1, and the similar for the other values. And then you will have like define some other method or functionality for your object. So here I just write like very simple the method in which I'm just printing the value of one of my parameter. So that's the syntax. So let's now jump to the PyCharm, and we will execute some command there for the better understanding. Okay, so here we are in the PyCharm IDE. Let's create a Python file. I can say, oh, no, that's very small name, but object-oriented programming. So let's create this Python file, and let's start by creating first class. And we will go over like how you create class, how you create object, and how you call the methods from your object. So you create class by using the class keyword. And for example, I create a class vehicle, and in that I will provide some functionality. So first let me write the initialize method, like init method. So it's a double underscore, as you see here. So self is the default keyword because it tells basically it's attach whatever the value you're passing here to the object of your class. So for example, I create two variable here like make and model for the vehicle, and then you will assign that value whatever you will pass during your object. So self.make is make, and self.model is model. So you created this initialize method here. So the next is you create an object of your class. So like for example, how you want to create is just like my car is a object, and you call your class vehicle, and in that you have to provide these values, right, for the make and the model. So you will say, for example, Tesla is a make for the vehicle, and next is model, and you can say Model X. Let's create another line here so that we don't see the formatting for the Python. So now you created the object, the my car, and in that you provided like make and model values. So now if you want to get the value from your class, right, so you will call by using like object my car and for example dot make. So let's print this. So when we call this, let's execute this, and it will give you the Tesla. So these values are called like attributes in your class. So like make and model, these are attribute to your class, and you provided the value, and then by using the object of your class, you're calling these attribute. So now next, for example, you want to create a like second object of your class, let's call this like my car 1, and now you say like, okay, I want to create another object. For example, you can say my car 2, and this time I'm not going to pass the make and the model keyword. Those are optional. So I just want to show you the both scenario, like with and without that. So you can say my make is Tesla, but your model is this time like for example model 3, right? And now by using this object you can call, let's print this as well. This time you want to call the model of your car. So let's run this. So as you see, when you call the model by using your second object, the my car 2, it gives you model 3. So how these objects work? So as you see here, you only created class once, right? But when you're creating object, you can pass the different values. So now you can consider the class as like a blueprint. So for example, there's a builder who wants to build a community, right, with the houses. So he create a one blueprint, or you can say like a one model home, and to show the public, right? But then using that blueprint, he can just build more and more houses like the similar one, so that he don't have to define again and again the whole functionality, or basically the whole structure of the house. He already created like defined one functionality, and then he just reused that. So the same thing here, that you created the blueprint once, and you say like, here's my blueprint for my class vehicle, and now you can just create like a multiple objects by passing the different value. Like you can create another object like my car 3, for example, and then in that you can pass like make is like infinity, and model is like for example QX60. So you don't have to rewrite this whole thing again and again. So that's the main concept of object-oriented programming, to save the user for repeating the code in the program. So that's how you create an object. Now let's add more functionality here. And next is like class level attribute, and these were like the function or the method level attributes. So class level attribute, for example, I create here, and it will be, for example, I say color, and I will say blue. Okay. So class level attribute, as you see here, I don't use any self keyword because these are same for all the instances of the class. So As I mentioned, like you can create my car 1, my car 2, multiple instances of your class, and this will be same for all the instances. You cannot change this one. So for example, here you can call this, for example, my car 1 dot color, and the same you can call like my car 2 dot color. So let me print out this. Oh, okay, I have to create objects. Sorry about that. So here you create the two instances, my car 1, my car 2, and you're calling the color attribute by using both object, and you will see it's the same value, blue and blue. So this class level attribute will be same for all the instances of your class. Next, let's add some more functionality in there. For example, if I create another method, I can create like, my car description, and in that the self keyword, that is basically initializing your method, and then let's just add some print statement here. So f string method for the printing, and I can say I love my car, and the car will be, for example, we can use self.make. As I mentioned previously, wherever in the program you want to use this make attribute, you have to call by using the self keyword. So self.make. And to call like the class level attribute color within your program, as it doesn't have the self keyword attached, so you will call by using the class name. So the like how you will define this is like your class name Vico dot attribute name. So now when we will call this method by using the object of the class, and it will print like I love my self.make, whatever the make of the car is, and its color is that we have defined here, the blue color. So let's execute this. So we have created our instances, and if I call by using object, for example, my car 1 dot car description. So let's execute this, and you see here in the output it says I love my Tesla and its color is blue. So this is called the functionality that you define. So you can consider like this vehicle is our list object type in the Python, and then this car description is like a method that we added here. Like for example, the list has like append method. So that's how you can define more functionality within your object. So far we have seen that we provided the attribute like color or like make and model, and then we provided some methods in there like car description. So you can call this car description with whatever the object or instance you create for this class. So let's add some more functionality here. For example, you can also add more attributes in here. For example, you say like a battery, and here I can print I can say car has so we will use this variable car has a battery of this. So as you see, like I added another variable here like a battery, so I'm passing this parameter. But as you see, like when I call this parameter, I don't use the self keyword because this is not provided when we initialize the object. This is like you are providing directly into the method that you are creating. So when you will call this method now, so we called this before, there was no attribute. So if you try to call this car description now, you will see some error. So let me call here, and it will say like it's expecting some parameter in there. So as you see here, it says car description missing one required positional argument battery, right? Because you are using this. So now let's provided some value in here. For example, I can say 75 kilowatt. So it's taking these values like self.make and vehicle.color from your that you have defined in your when you create the instance of the class, and then you are providing this battery when you call the method from the object of your class. So let's run this, and you see it says I love my Tesla and its color is blue. Car has a battery of 75 kilowatt. So that's how you provide the more the functionality to your class and to its object. So now let's talk about next is, for example, the inheritance. That is like really important concept of object oriented programming. So inheritance is basically you create a one class and you provided some functionality to that class. But what if you want to create another class and you want to use the functionality that you have defined in the first class? So you don't want to rewrite the code again, right? So that's where the inheritance comes in the picture. So inheritance means like you can inherit the properties from your older class into the new class. So we call like parent and child class. So you create a parent class and then you have a child class and you can inherit the properties from your parent class into your child class. So let's see the example for that, like how you can achieve that. So for example, let me comment out here. I'll say inheritance. So let's create a one class, like for example car. So I create a class car, and in which I will define some methods. So first write the initialize method is in itself, and then for example I print something. Okay, let's say the car class created. Okay, so we created this car class, and let's write another method, for example my car music system, right? So we can say car has bass music system, and let's create another method, for example tire brand, and can print car comes with, for example, like any tire brand that you can choose, like for example Bridgestone tires. Okay, so we created this class, and this is like for example our parent class. Now let's create another class. For example, we can say class Tesla. Okay, so now in Tesla class you want to inherit some of the properties or some of the methods from the car class. So how you inherit that? So you have to pass the class name from where you want to get the properties. You want to inherit the functionality or the properties. So let's create that, and then write your initializing method. So in the init, so you write that, and now you have to call the initializing method of the car class, because now you want to initialize here to use the property of the car class. So how you can say that? So it's like car with the class name, and you call the init method from the car class. So that's how you call the init method. And then here, for example, you can just print and say just to be more clear, like where we are in the programming step. So we can say Tesla class created, and when we will execute this program, you will see the step by step, like how this program is executed. There should be 2 line. That's basically formatting. Like within 2 class, you have to be like 2 blank line. Okay, so we created our initialize method. Let's have like another method here providing for with this class. You can say color, and you can say another statement. So we can say car color is, for example, the blue. Okay, so we call this so we created 2 classes. One is car and one is Tesla, and we are using the car functionality, inheriting the car class functionality within the Tesla class. So let's create an object of this Tesla class. So I can say my car is equal to Tesla. Okay, so I call this Tesla class, create an object my car, and now using this object I want to call the functionality. So when you will say my car dot color, right? So when you will call this, let me comment it out this code so that we don't get confused here. Okay, I'm going to comment it out everything so that we have more clear outcome here. Okay, so when you will call color method with your blue, so let's run this. Okay, so it says, see, so you are missing the self keyword here because in the init method here we have self, right? So we have to write the self keyword here. Okay, so right. Okay, so now you see the outcome. So that I want to show you, right? Like when I was writing, so how the flow is. So you created the object of the Tesla class, and when you call this with the object, so what is it's doing first, it calling this, right? Whenever you create the instance of your class, it called the initialize method, so it called this. Under this you call the car class because you are inheriting that, and it called the initialize method from the car class, and in that you are printing the car class created. So that's what our first output is, car class created. And then you come here, the next is you say Tesla class created, and that what next is, and then you are calling this method the color, and that is says car color is blue. So please remember that whenever you create the instance of the class, so whatever you initialize under the init method, it's gonna call by default that, and that is basically how the object-oriented programming works. So now let's try to call music system method by using the Tesla class object, because we have inherited the properties from car class into the Tesla, so it should be, we should be able to call the method in the car class. So let's try to do that. So my car dot, and you say music system. So let's call this, and you see we got output, it says car has Boss music system. So that so now you see, right, we don't have to rewrite this functionality in our new class here. By inheriting the car class into our Tesla, we are able to access whatever the functionality is provided in that class, we can access here. So that is like, it basically save you a lot of time, and it's better structured so that you don't have to rewriting the code, and just by inheriting the already created class into your class, you can just use the functionality. So but that is like by inheriting the already provided the functionality. But for example, in your own class you want to write music system method, and you want to provide different functionality in that. So you can override that. This is called like method overwriting. So for example, you can also have the similar name function music system, but here you say like, instead of boss, I will say Herman Kardon music system. So when you will call now the mycar.music system, so this object will call the method that is defined within your class. So let's rerun this, and now you see it says car has Herman Kardon music system. So now you override the method, and if you create an object of your car class, for example, you say my for example, I can just say my car1 is equal to the car. Okay, so you create the object of car class, and if you call the music system with the object of the car class, this is gonna call the original music system method that defined within that class. So let's call that, and you will see the difference. So let's call this. So as you see here, your Tesla class object called music system, and it has this output, and when you call the music system with your car class object, it has the boss music system that you defined within your car class. So that's how you can approach like inheritance by inheriting the property from one class into another, and create an object of the class, and reuse the already written functionality. So that's all for this video, and if you like this video, please press the like button and please subscribe to my channel. And if you have any question, please send me email, or put in the comment, and I will be happy to give the answer. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next coming tutorial. Thank you. Have a great day.